At risk. How do we as public officials say, I'm gonna wanna protect anyone from serving naturally, and I think it's a given up to this point to cover all the fees and all that stuff. What I'm saying is, from a public standpoint, going forward and getting into the expenditures of whatever at the circuit level, at the appellate level, at the whatever, that's what we're getting at. Is how big of a figure are we looking at? You know, what we have to start thinking about this like it's our own money, and that's what that's what I'm trying to do. Is okay. How am I going to assess the risk? How do I dispassionately assess the risk? You have an idea on that? No.
Well, as you pointed out, I certainly don't want to start talking about the facts of the case, but, there are certainly, I'd say, potentially viable defenses and counter-arguments. I just can't give you a percentage or an evaluation of the risk. It's just not possible in a situation like this. As I said, that's why I think it's just a matter of individual conscience under these circumstances, that you have to let that individual commissioner decide if she or he, under the circumstances, is willing to take the risk. And we have a commissioner who is, and I think she should be allowed to. That's not saying that it's a right decision or a wrong decision. It's just her decision that I think she should be allowed to make.
No question. Absolutely no question about it. But this is a question of taking that risk in this definition is the fiduciary risk that the city takes. And I understand that's very cold-hearted and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, how do you, if you're in my shoes, how do you square that to make sure that you're acting responsibly? Because, I don't know where this could go. I mean, I'm not an attorney. I can't judge, but I get the sense that this is not, and I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth. They're saying I don't get the abundance of optimism. And that's just my perception. And I didn't get that. If I get that, then maybe I'd be a little more confident.
No case is entirely free from problems.
Of course.
But there are, like I think Mr. Lincoln alluded to, a good faith defense. And again, it's difficult because I don't want to talk about the facts or what that is, because I don't think that's appropriate. But I think, if I thought the risk was so high, if I thought the risk was that high, I probably wouldn't have recommended what I did. I just think that there is a risk, undeniably. Undeniably, there'll be a significant expense. But even under both of those circumstances, I still think it's something that you ought to do when you look at the totality of the circumstances here.
Vice Mayor?
The motion is made that we go forward with full payment in the litigation of Ms. Chapman's case at this time.
That?
Yes.
What is this? Is this an unlimited whatever it goes to?
Mr. With all respect, sir.
Supreme Court, yada yada yada.
The options that were given to us was full payment, 6 months.
Well,
I'm
one more thing.
We have a motion.
And maybe clarify the point I forgot to make a minute ago when Commissioner Caragiullo asked about the risk was the.
Okay.
I would be willing to go with that.
Motion dies for lack of second. Commissioners, is there another motion?
The motion is made to carry this forth with a 6 month. I mean, this is ridiculous to sit here and play with each other in the simplest of matters. This is, I'm here. I'm not just yet. I haven't gotten there yet. I will make the motion that we support our fellow commissioner to the fullest. I would even go with the 6 months, but
that's the motion.
That's the motion.
And of course, it would be readdressed to the status report.
I'm sorry?
Would I anticipate if the motion to cover the fees for 6 months was approved, then there would be a status report given, and would be reauthorized at that time, assuming the case was proceeding satisfactorily. But you'd review it.
Motion dies for lack of second.
What would these other commissioners make a suggestion of? And before you make a motion, just what are you looking for? What did they tell you to tell us? Because whoever they are, because I feel really, really saddened that we would allow ourselves to be intimidated and humiliated as a sitting city commissioner representing the city of Sarasota. I'm appalled at.
Commissioners, is there another motion? I'll pass the gavel and make the motion. Let's get on. I move that we pay for all the legal bills through the end of the week for Commissioner Chapman. Guys, you guys.
Let's have the noise, please. Thank you. Motion dies for lack of a second. Is there another motion? Finding no motion, I move that we, at this time, go into a continuance, if that's the proper thing, sir. Or at least, maybe we should have a sunshine out of the a shade meeting.
Well, I don't think we can anymore. There's no suit against the city commission. That was settled.
Yeah, I like to say, I got it. I like to say one thing. You know what? Vice Mayor and I disagree on this issue. At least there needs to be some more conversation here. We're not the only two at the table. We've obviously staked out our ground, and whether we may be at opposite ends of it, there needs to be some other conversation here.
Why are we giving in to this fear? That's what you told me earlier. This great fear you have of this. What fear do you have? If I were in the street, I'd see you punking out.
And the other thing I would like to address is, on blogs, I've actually been accused of being a liar. And I would like to pass out things that indicate that I wasn't lying when I made my statement at the last commission meeting about not knowing about a deal. And you have already verified about the November 1 issue was not accepted and another offer. But the reality is that I wasn't lying. And here is the email with my attorney when I asked, has there been an offer that would not hold me responsible for violating the Sunshine Law? Is that correct? And his answer is nobody has made any offer to us that included us. And that was on November 12th. And you should also know that we did make an offer, and we did put an offer on the table that was related to Ms. Atwell's deal that she got that I did not know about until she actually announced it in a public meeting. But I have attended the 7-hour Sunshine Law seminar on October 17. I did attend the city seminar. I don't know about the I think the $500 donation with the donation from the other side is sort of a face-saving way to make it appear that there was a Sunshine Law violation when there wasn't an admission of a Sunshine Law violation. But I think it's important to know, for people to understand that there is this important burden that's being placed on the city by the position of Citizens for Sunshine, and that's a burden for both the city attorney and the city auditor and clerk. The city attorney now has to give legal opinions for almost everything we do, and the city auditor and clerk is noticing a lot of meetings that she didn't notice before and is having to send people to take minutes. Are they going to still assert that when a meeting is held that civic organization holds, that just two commissioners attending. This case has been tried in the press, but I can assure you that facts that have been tried in the press are very different from what actually happened. And we have had an investigator out there to determine what people heard, what people saw, and they're very different from what has been tried in the press, I can assure you.
And just to clarify, now Commissioner Atwell didn't admit any fault in
No, there was no admission of a violation in that agreement.
No. So there was no.
But if you have questions, Mr. Fuller had an in-person conversation with Andrea Mogensen about our offer, and she said she hadn't had time to review it and hasn't gotten back to us. But what happened instead was a demand to set depositions. You want to explain that, Bob? That a demand to set deposition kind of means that you're not accepting any offer.
It does indicate that you'd plan to go forward with the case, or you wouldn't spend the time to take the depositions.
Right.
Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
No pleasure involved in this.
I understand that, but we have to make a decision.
I said I'm prepared to make a motion. I would make a motion to extend payment of fees the next 90 days. Can you look after the city's interest in any way, shape, or form here?
Well, I mean, I can consult with Mr. Fuller about what's happening or question the bills. I mean, I get the bills, and he might want to redact certain things since
Absolutely,
they are public records, and he doesn't want to give
doesn't want to
away
hinder his
litigation
defense, sure.
strategy. But I think I make inquiries to satisfy myself what was done, and I typically do that. I look over the bills that are submitted. So, yes, I would continue to do that.
I'll second that motion.
Motion is made by Commissioner Carajullo, second by Vice Mayor Shaw. Anybody want to speak to the motion?
I think, I have to defer to Commissioner Atwell's comments. I think that they were very well thought out, and, at the end of the day, this is just trying to assess a responsibility. Nobody should be left out in the cold to pay the bills, and that's not what we want to do right now, but I think we should give this some more time to perhaps dispose of the case, and then we'll look at it from there.
Fine.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Chair votes no. Motion passes 3-1. We're adjourned.